The Catholic Church has raised concerns about Colombia approaching its tolerance limits, warning that crossing these lines could lead to a civil war. Over the years, Colombian society has been increasingly marked by a culture of hatred and violence. What was once the rhetoric of violent and bloodthirsty groups has now become official language, political jargon, and a common topic among citizens.
The negative consequences are now visible, with an attack on Senator Miguel Uribe's life being a recent example, as highlighted in this week's editorial of El Catolicismo, the news outlet of the Archdiocese of Bogotá, led by Monsignor Rafael de Brigard. The article addresses the national unrest following the attack on the senator and presidential candidate over the weekend, criticizing the national government's response that they argue has heightened tensions.
It seems inconsistent for some to now lament and proclaim their love for life when they have long provoked society and individuals with diatribes aimed at inciting crimes of hate. The country is currently experiencing great social tension, which is likely to escalate. The agenda of hate includes filling the streets with violence and threats, disrupting the lives of good citizens, and generating further animosity and anger, the Archdiocese of Bogotá expresses. The Catholic Church is concerned about the potential consequences of this social tension. Only God knows where this chain of disgraceful acts might lead, undoubtedly seeking to create chaos for ulterior motives. Colombian society is nearing its tolerance limits, which, if breached, could potentially result in a civil war. They also caution about what they perceive as a lack of protection for citizens by the state. It's evident that only the state and its legitimate leaders can provide assurance for the lives, rights, and property of citizens. But that's not what is seen in Colombia today. Citizens observe, with excessive passivity, how neither the state nor its officials are protecting them, and instead are exposing them, as they watch in horror while countless criminals enjoy privileges never before imagined, the editorial states. It further remarks, citizens are also witnessing a police force and military that seem weakened and no longer convey the expected assurance of safeguarding the minimal conditions necessary for everyday life. The national community feels unprotected and insecure, leading to more vigilante justice and increasing the exodus of thousands of Colombians to other countries.
However, the Church also calls for continued advocacy for peace and harmony. It is easy to stoke the flames of hate and violence. Citizens mobilize positively in this regard because those who currently do are often paid to spread fear and terror. They emphasize, Colombians should not continue the old habit of expecting others to do what everyone should do collectively, in this case, fighting for a life of peace, freedom, and unconditional respect for the dignity and life of each person, the editorial urges. Furthermore, they highlight a lack of good leaders to inspire the citizenry. These leaders must be found and supported. Their mission, along with the entire citizenry, should be to establish a new discourse of unity, progress, genuine justice, disciplined work, and respect for life, honor, and the property of citizens, they affirm. The editorial goes on to emphasize the critical need for fostering dialogue and understanding among different factions in society. It suggests that Colombia is at a crossroads where historical grievances and current tensions could either escalate into further conflict or be resolved through committed efforts toward reconciliation and peace. This involves inviting all sectors, including political leaders, civic organizations, and ordinary citizens, to participate actively in creating solutions that prioritize the common good over individual or partisan interests. In promoting these ideals, the Church advocates for educational initiatives that emphasize the values of empathy, cooperation, and respect for diversity. This approach, they argue, could help undermine the divisive rhetoric and actions that have fueled violence and distrust. Moreover, the editorial highlights the potential role of young people in this transformative process, urging them to take a stand for a future defined by hope and positive change rather than fear and hostility.
Finally, the Church calls for a renewed commitment to social justice as a foundation for lasting peace. This includes addressing issues of inequality and ensuring that all Colombians have access to fundamental rights and opportunities. By working together to create an inclusive and equitable society, the editorial concludes, Colombians can transcend their current challenges and build a nation that reflects the dignity and aspirations of its people. The editorial concludes by underscoring the importance of spiritual renewal and moral integrity as pillars for overcoming the current crisis. It urges leaders and citizens alike to return to fundamental values rooted in faith, respect, and love for one's neighbor. The Church emphasizes that genuine peace cannot be achieved solely through political or social measures but also requires a moral commitment from each individual to act justly, forgive, and seek reconciliation.
Additionally, it calls for prayer and reflection as essential tools in uniting the nation and healing wounds caused by violence and division. The Church trusts that divine guidance can inspire Colombians to pursue a path of dialogue, understanding, and steadfastness in the face of adversity. In essence, the message is clear: Colombia stands at a critical juncture.
If its people and leaders do not act conscientiously and responsibly, the nation risks falling into chaos. Conversely, through collective effort, moral resilience, and hope rooted in faith, Colombia can forge a way toward peace, stability, and renewed social harmony.
The editorial encourages all sectors of society to recognize their role in shaping the future of Colombia. It emphasizes that true progress requires a collective commitment to overcoming hate, violence, and division by fostering an environment of respect, dialogue, and solidarity. The Church advocates for a cultural shift towards nonviolence and compassion, urging individuals to be agents of change within their families, communities, and institutions. Furthermore, it highlights the importance of supporting honest and ethical leadership committed to justice and national unity. The Church believes that authentic leaders should inspire hope and action aimed at rebuilding trust and creating inclusive policies that address the root causes of violence and inequality. In closing, the editorial calls on Colombians to nourish their spiritual and moral values, urging prayer, reflection, and active participation in efforts for peace. It reminds the nation that, despite past struggles, Colombia has the strength and capacity to emerge stronger if its people unite around shared principles of dignity, respect, and love. The message is a solemn plea for perseverance and courage, affirming that the future of Colombia depends on the resolve and moral integrity of its citizens and leaders alike. The editorial finally underscores the hope that through faith and collective effort, Colombia can turn its current challenges into opportunities for renewal and growth. It advocates for a renewed sense of national identity grounded in shared values, history, and faith, which can serve as a unifying force amid turbulence. It also calls on the international community to support Colombia's pursuit of peace and stability, recognizing that lasting peace must be rooted both internally and supported externally. The Church encourages global solidarity and understanding, emphasizing that Colombia's peace journey is part of a broader human aspiration for harmony and justice.
Ultimately, the message is one of resilience and optimism. Despite the grave risks and ongoing tensions, the country's future remains in the hands of its committed and hopeful citizens. With moral conviction, unity, and divine guidance, Colombia can avoid the dangerous precipice of civil conflict and forge a future characterized by peace, justice, and dignity for all its people.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future ideas that challenge us to think outside the box. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, and don't forget to always maintain that curiosity that drives progress. Also, explore even more fascinating content on our channel. From life-changing tips and cutting-edge technology, to the mysteries of spirituality, travel to various countries, delicious recipes, health hacks, and language learning, there's something here to spark your curiosity and elevate your life. Dive in and discover a world of knowledge awaits us.